we've been together for 3 years.
Both older.
Yeah.
Both older. So you're the youngest. And over the 3 years that y'all have been working together, what are some of the memorable moments? Can you think of any? Have you guys gone on any trips or been part of any of those? Any memorable experiences?
A couple weeks ago, we went golfing for UNC golf camp. It's like it helps us learn golf, like newcomers. And the UNC football team came and some others to help us practice our golf swing.
Fantastic. That's good stuff. Do you play golf?
A little, not well. But yeah, that was cool to get to hang out with the UNC basketball players. You know? No, I mean UNC football players.
Yeah, they gave up posters. You can sign on your autograph.
Excellent. And you guys have been to basketball games, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, you've even been on the field.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. A couple years ago, we watched Carolina football team play against opponents.
Really? And you were on the field?
From the sidelines.
That must be awesome. What was that like?
It was great.
Hello, I'm BJ Lawson, and today we're taking the pulse of education with Graig Meyer. Graig, thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you, BJ.
Well, Graig, tell us a bit about your background and how you got involved with Blue Ribbon Mentor Advocate.
Well, I'm a social worker. I went to social work school at the University of Chicago, but then moved down to Chapel Hill because I thought, my wife and I thought it'd be a great place to be and raise a family. And I've been here running Blue Ribbon Mentor Advocate ever since. It'll be 10 years in August of 2008.
Excellent. So you started Blue Ribbon Mentor Advocate, obviously in response to a need in the community, a need that you felt to make a difference. Tell us a little bit about what it is and how it works.
Well, Blue Ribbon Mentor Advocate started about 3 years before I got here. It was one of the initiatives that came out of the Chapel Hill School's Blue Ribbon Task Force on the Achievement of African American Students. That was a task force in 1993 that was really the first time the school district disaggregated student data and said, why are African American students struggling when compared to their white peers? And then created a set of recommendations of things that could be done to support those students. And one of their recommendations, there were 99 recommendations, and one of them was we should create a mentoring program. And so the Blue Ribbon part of our name comes from the Blue Ribbon Task Force, and our program was launched in 1995. And the idea was that we would put together a comprehensive mentoring program that would provide students with both outside of school enrichment opportunities and school advocacy to help them reach their full potential in all areas of their lives.
Excellent. And I like the fact that you put those two together, mentoring and being an advocate. I know one of the frustrations that my wife certainly saw when she was a teacher in Durham was that children were lacking in both of those areas in many cases.
Right. So if you have a student who's getting the individual support of a mentor and they're providing them with opportunities, you want to make sure that those opportunities have a fertile ground to flourish, right? Mm-hmm. And in particular, in a school setting, we want to make sure that they have that opportunity in school. So a common thing for our mentor to do would be to join a parent and go to a parent-teacher conference, and the role that a mentor might play would be to help the teachers understand these are the types of strengths and interests that we see this student has. We hope you'll find a way to help foster those in the classroom, as well as to do what you might think of with advocacy of trying to help figure out how to address the student's problems. But mentoring is really about strengths building.
Absolutely. And talk a little bit about that. When you're looking for students to bring into the program, or when students are being identified in the schools, what are some of the attributes that make the student a good candidate?
Well, there's three things that we really need to see. One is they have to have some type of interest or potential or strength that some adult has identified, and maybe it's a teacher or a social worker or an administrator in their school, and that adult says, you know, if this kid just had one person, a mentor who could foster this interest or this talent, they really could do a lot more than what we see they're doing right now.
Sure.
So that's the primary thing, and that's what we would look as kind of the hook for the mentor to get started with. The second thing is it has to be a child who seeks out adult potential. If the kid doesn't want to spend time with adults, they're not the right kid for this program, because that's what we're going to set them up to do. And the third piece is that their family has to be willing to participate and support the child's participation. So the family has to be willing to make sure that the mentor and the child get together. The family has to be willing to work with the mentor on the school advocacy activities. But most families see it as being a great opportunity for them and their kids, and it's not too hard to convince them to join.
Gotcha. And I know, having looked at the area that you're working in, volunteer-based mentoring programs for children, lots of folks have tried this. This has been tried in lots of communities. It does seem, though, that Blue Ribbon has done a really good job at making a meaningful impact in terms of your graduation rate of your students. What are some of the success factors that you think are important for mentoring programs, and in particular the best practices that you all have embraced?
Well, the research on mentoring looks at a lot of factors that go into a mentoring relationship and says, what are the things you have to make a relationship have a sustained impact on a child's life?
Sure.
And really it comes down to just one factor, which is the duration of the relationship.
I see.
So the basic factor is the longer a relationship lasts, the more successful it's going to be. There's a cutoff point, which is that a mentoring relationship has to last for at least a year in order to have a sustained impact on the child's life. So our baseline is that we want mentors to make a commitment to working with the child for at least 2 years.
Sure.
And we're going to work with the child from 4th grade all the way through high school graduation and on into college. So our statistics are that over 90% of our mentoring relationships last beyond that initial 2-year commitment. So we're far surpassing the national standards on that. And out of all of our students who have graduated from high school, over 60% of them have had the same mentor from the time they started in the program in 4th grade all the way through high school graduation.
That's amazing.
So we're really emphasizing the fact that these relationships need to be long-term. We're not really looking for a quick fix for a kid. We're looking for someone who's going to support them as their development continues over numerous years.
Sure. And when your mentors get into the program, clearly that's one of the big challenges, I'd imagine, is identifying folks who are suitable mentors. How do you prepare them for facilitating the growth of the child and the family?
Right. So we spend a lot of time preparing and supporting our mentors because we want to make those long-term relationships happen. And so the first thing that we do with our mentors is an in-home interview where I get to know them and think about what kind of a mentor they would be and answer their questions about mentoring. And then the second piece that they would do is they would come through our training, which is about 12 hours of training. That's considerably more than you would do for most other volunteer roles. Mm-hmm. And it may scare some people away, but what we're trying to say is that we take this role seriously. We're going to provide you with what you need to do it, and we want you to take it seriously. So we want you to show your commitment to mentoring by participating in this full training. And if you're not willing to do this amount of training, then you might not be willing to make the commitment we're looking for with the child. So in general, what our mentors say is that the training has been very effective, and they really appreciate it, and it shows them how serious we are, and it brings them up to a level of expectations that we have. What we emphasize in the training is how to be a great mentor, how to maintain boundaries in that relationship that keep it healthy, and then how to do some of the specific mentoring tasks that we want you to do, like how to be an effective school advocate.
Sure. Do you find that, I'm just thinking from my perspective, oftentimes people go into a particular volunteer opportunity wanting to make a difference, wanting to fix things. Is there a challenge there sometimes letting people know, well, oh, gosh, there's certain things you might not be able to fix, and that's okay? Is that part of the equation?
Absolutely. So all of our mentors get to a period in their relationship that I call the if-onlys. And the if-onlys happen somewhere between 6 months and a year into mentoring. Okay. And it's the period of time at which you figured out all of the things that are impediments to your student's success. And you come to me, the mentors will call me up and they'll say, well, if only this child had been read to when they were younger. If only they didn't have a television in their room. If only their father was in the home. And everything that they list in the if-onlys are things that they're coming to me because they have no way to change them. Right. And what I have to remind them is that your role as a mentor is not to change those things. Those are the issues that go on in a family. And your role as a mentor is not to deal with all those problems, but is to support that student's strengths and development so that when they get old enough, this is a long-term process, those strengths will become the foundation that they have to stand on so that if they want to make different choices than the ones that you've seen are impacting them negatively, they'll have the ability to make different choices. So you basically take those challenges back to the fundamental principle of strength identification. Right, and we're not going to fix